everyone, my name is Miss Johnston, and throughout the next couple of weeks I'm going to be uploading lessons almost every day to cover a wide range of subjects and grades. So today we are starting with grade 1 data management and probability. So grab a pencil, grab some coloring pencils or crayons, and get ready to learn. So at the bottom of this video there is a document, and feel free to print that. All of the information that you will need is in those documents. So the first document, specifically the first page, is for parents. It just goes over the learning goals and what is going to be covered in the lesson. So I'm going to read them. Feel free to skip over. I will put the timestamps below. So for this lesson, we're going to cover collection and organization of data. So students should be able to demonstrate an ability to organize objects into categories by sorting and classifying objects using one attribute and by describing informal sorting experiences. They should also be able to collect and organize primary data that is categorical and display the data using one-to-one correspondence, prepared templates of concrete graphs and pictographs, and a variety of recording methods. We'll also cover data relationships, so students should be able to read primary data presented in concrete graphs and pictographs and describe the data using comparative language, and pose and answer questions about collected data. And the last part we're covering is probability, so students should be able to describe the likelihood that everyday events will occur using mathematical language. So, for parents, you're going to be using the documents that are at the bottom of the video. I'm going to walk you through how to help your child get through the lesson, and I will also teach the lesson further on in the video, which will also be time-stamped. So before we actually get into the worksheets, you're going to ask your child to go sort something. Whether this is, say, the groceries that you have, or maybe your pantry, maybe it's their stuffed animals, maybe it's their Lego bricks. You're going to have them go and sort that as part of the data management and probability lesson that we're teaching. So ask them to go organize their stuffed animals by type of stuffed animal, or have them go organize their Lego bricks by color, and you can also have them actually clean up and tidy this way when they have some time at home. Once you've picked what you want them to categorize and organize and learn about sorting methods, then we will actually get into the worksheets. So, the first page of the worksheet is just talking about bar and picture graphs. It gives an overview as well as the three main parts of the graph. Now, from there, it's the parents' turn to help their child kind of get into the other worksheets that are provided, and I'll explain each one next. So, the first part of the worksheet is asking students to make a picture graph. So, the question is, how many fish did you see? And there's 5 different names. And students will take the back portion of this, where there's a bunch of fish. They will cut them out, and they can color them. So, for each person that is listed, so on here we have Lynn, Jan, Ed, Dan, and Ken, they'll give them a color. So say Lynn is blue. She has 3 fish that she sees. You're going to color 3 of the fish on the back blue, cut them out, and glue them into the squares next to Lynn's name at the top. And you're going to repeat that for Jan, Ed, Dan, and Ken, giving each one a different color. Now the last part of the lesson is actually getting your child to answer these questions at the bottom. So, who saw the most fish? Who saw the least fish? Who saw the same number of fish? And how many fish were seen in total? And once that worksheet is complete, we can move on to the next portion, which is actually getting into bar graphs. For the first worksheet, we actually have the heads or tails. There are 10 rows for your child to fill in. They are going to flip a coin, and if they land on a head, they can color one of the squares next to the number 1, and if they land on tails, then they can fill in a box for the tails. Now they are going to continue to flip that coin until they get all the way up to 10 in one of the columns. The other column does not have to be full. This will actually help in making them distinguish between heads and tails later. So you actually want to leave one of the columns not as full. Once they've filled the columns, they are going to answer the 2 questions at the bottom. Now, on the other side, you do not have to print these double-sided. You can pick and choose which ones you want to print, but if you want to go with the Lego one, as you can see, this one has more than just the 2 columns. This one has 4, one for red, blue, green, or yellow Lego. Now, you could also use this with just any blocks. It doesn't have to be Lego, but any colored block or Lego or Mega Block will work. So, same thing, but your child will put the Lego in a bucket and they'll pull out pieces until, once again, one of the columns is full, but the other ones are not necessarily full, and we'll answer the questions. Now, the other one for the stuffed animals will offer a couple more. So, depending on how many stuffed animals your child has, this one may or may not be a good one to pick. So there's 4 different categories. There's teddy bears, house pets, so that would be any stuffed animals that are a cat, dog, hamster, or bird. There's also magical creatures, so any unicorns, any dragons or fairies, that would fall under that category. And then characters, so any movie character, such as Mickey or Minnie Mouse, maybe a princess, anything like that would fall under the character category. So your child can once again organize their stuffed animals. Maybe they did that at the beginning when you had them sort something. So this one would actually be perfect if you had them sort their stuffed animals. So from there, they'll fill in one of the columns completely, the other ones not as much, depending upon how many stuffed animals they have. And lastly, they'll answer the questions like before. Now, this last one is the one where, say, the coin or the Lego or the stuffed animals doesn't work for you. This is where you can actually make your own. So maybe you want your child to go count seeds that you plan on planting for the summer or something else. You can put in the top what you want them to count, and then they will actually have to fill in the data themselves. So maybe you have a child that's more advanced. You could have them do this sheet as well, just to kind of make it a little more difficult. So they have to actually put in the information, such as the title, the number of columns, as well as the labels at the bottom. So you can have them fill this out, and then once again, they still just have to answer the 2 questions pertaining to the data that you picked for them. Now, once your child has gone through all of those worksheets, that is kind of the conclusion of the lesson. Maybe they really get it or they really enjoy working with that and the data management and probability aspect of math. You could actually conduct a Facebook survey for your child and give them that blank sheet if they haven't already done it, and have them create a bar graph based off of the information that you get from Facebook. It will give them real life data and start to get them to understand how to collect data in the real world rather than just being given the information, which could be kind of cool as an extension. So other than that, that is the lesson for today. The PDFs are below, and I hope you enjoy. So now that I've actually gone through all of the worksheets, if you don't want to teach the lesson, I'm actually going to run through the entire lesson. Your child will just need the PDFs, and you can play the video. So before we begin with any of the worksheets, I want you to find something in your house. Maybe it's your stuffed animals. Maybe it's your Lego. Maybe it's the groceries in the pantry. But I want you to organize them. So for example, if you go to your room and you look at your stuffed animals, maybe you have some that are just teddy bears. Maybe you have some that are house pets, like a cat or a dog or a bird or a hamster, anything like that. So I want you to put those items into categories. Or maybe you're looking at the Lego. Maybe you can color code them. So all your red bricks in one pile, all your yellow bricks in another pile, all your green bricks in another pile. Just find something in your house, maybe your parents can give you an idea, And I want you to practice organizing and sorting and maybe even counting how many of each you have. And once you're done that, we will get into the worksheets. So pause the video here, then we'll get into the worksheets and start the lesson.